athlete in the athletic department for nearly 20 years now, and I'm a Howard Payne alum. And I'm proud to know many of you in this room, even as athletes. I saw you play, and some of you as classmates as well, and it's wonderful to have you all back on campus. I just want to draw some attention to some special people that are here today. If there is anyone in attendance that is a Howard Payne Board of Trustee member or alumni board or serve on any board in any capacity at Howard Payne, will you please stand and be recognized at this time? We did recognize our president earlier. There are a couple of vice presidents who are also here. Dr. Dale Meineke, Vice President of Development, and then Dr. Kaylee Lowry, Vice President of Alumni Relations. I think that's correct. I don't know if I'm saying that completely accurate, but good to have them here as well. Would any current or current members of the Howard Payne Sports Hall of Fame that are in attendance, would you please stand to be recognized? We do have some other people here. With any members or Paul J. Cunningham or Tammy Patillo Memorial Award winners, if you are a Paul J. Cunningham or Tammy Patillo Memorial Award winner, please stand to be recognized. Again, Hunter drew attention to our athletic staff here earlier. If you're part of the Howard Payne athletic staff, please stand to be recognized. We are also kind of blessed to have two former Howard Payne, we thought Mike Jones was supposed to show up. He was unable to attend, but we do have another former athletic director here. Dr. Larry Nickel, please stand and be recognized. I do want to pass on just a brief message. I got a text message from Dallas Houston and Lindy Houston just about 30 or 45 minutes ago. They were planning on attending. He's not feeling well, but still doing okay. But he wanted to give his best wishes, and wish he could be in attendance. So hello from Dallas Houston. We'd like to also thank any of you that are Jacket Century donors, and we just appreciate your gift and donation and support of Howard Payne Athletics. And as we kind of start our portion here, I'm going to invite up our first presenter, presenting the Alumni Team of the Year Awards for 92, 93, and 94 will be Mike Blackwell.
We are so blessed, amen. Thanks so much for the introduction, Abram. Appreciate that so much. I'm so lucky to be invited to be able to talk about a bunch of guys I love very much and have been close to for over 30 years, so thank you. Thanks also to Hunter Sims, Dr. Sims, for all of his work. I work at the House of Representatives, so I don't get a chance to be in Brownwood too much. And so I just want you to know I appreciate all that you do. I watch you guys from afar, and I appreciate all. Looking at this Coliseum, I really appreciate all that you've done. Thanks also to Dr. Corey Hines. I knew, please. I knew Corey when he was merely Corey instead of Dr. Hines, you understand. And I'm certainly proud of all that you've done at Howard Payne. I'll tell a little story on Corey now. And he's probably thinking, why did we give Blackwell a live mic here at this point? But 30 years ago, Larry Nickel, our athletic director who's here with us tonight, he came into my office and he said, Mike, have I got a deal for you? I'm going to give you $1,200 extra a year on your salary if you'll be the intramural director at Howard Payne. And at the time, I was the highest paid sports information director in the league. I was making $21,500 a year. And so I held out for 24 hours. I held out for $1,500 and took the job the next day. And the first hire I made was Dr. Hines. and he was a student director, and he reffed football games for $6, literally $6 a ball game, I believe. And so, at any rate, this may be a little presumptuous, but Dr. Hines, I feel like a lot of the things that you did as a intramural student director, you use in your day-to-day life as a university president. I'm pretty sure of that. You learned how to play by and enforce the rules. You learned a lot about the psychology of human behavior. I don't think there's any question of that. You learned about balling on a budget. You still ball on a budget, right? Melinda, his wife, lovely wife, is certainly agreeing to that. And you definitely learned about conflict resolution. So if you don't mind, I'd like to take some credit for the success that you've had at president, if that's all right. And you'll forever be Corey to me, Corey. And I've known for a long time that you would make a great impact on whatever piece of the world you decided to plant your feet on. And certainly that's been the case. Thank you. Now about these baseball teams. Coached by a rather unique young guy in his late 20s at the time, Todd Howie. And believe me, that you're going to hear a little more about Todd here in a few minutes. But I think all of you coaches, raise your hand if you're a coach. All of you coaches recognize that it's the players, not the coaching, usually 90% of the time. So I'm going to talk about the players first. And I'm going to tee up Todd a little bit later, but I'm going to talk about the players a little bit first. I'll preface my stories by sharing with you a lyric from a Chris Christopherson song called The Pilgrim. He's got a lyric in there that says he's a walking contradiction, partly truth and partly fiction. I'm here to tell you I'm the truth part tonight. And these guys at the baseball tables, they're going to be the fiction part later after I get through and they start trying to correct some of the stuff I say. So I needed to clarify that early on before I get started. The 1992, 93, and 94 teams we are honoring tonight were unique in so many ways. The most obvious trait being this: they won championships. Not one, not two, 3 times. Back to back to back. On paper, this was absolutely the glory years of HPU baseball. I think currently they're going to try to do something about that with the current team, but this was the glory years as far as I'm concerned. This was a group of guys that truly made Don Shepard Park the house that they built, because they started off at Sportsman's Park before moving across the way to Don Shepard Park. On paper, they were superlative, but they were even better in person. Baseball has a term for the best of the best. If you're a truly great baseball player, you're referred to as a 5-tool player. You can hit for average, you can hit for power, you can run, you can play defense, and you can throw. Well, this was a 5-tool team, all 3 years. And I'll apologize up front for not naming every player tonight. If I did that, we'd be here all night. So I'm sorry about that. I'm probably pretty close to my time limit already, right, Dr. Hines? But he's sitting there. Feel free. See, you may regret saying that, Dr. Hines. The 1992 team was extraordinary. They won the first of the 3 conference championships. And the Yellow Jackets' highlight of that season was when they beat the region's #1 seed, Lubbock Christian, in the first round of the playoffs. David White and Beck Wells were named to the All-District team, and Beck, Andy Johnson, and Travis Page, who's here tonight, were all named to the district's All-Tournament team. This 1992 team also provided one of the many Todd Howie moments on the radio. After we upset Lubbock Christian, he was more than a little fired up when he sat down after the game to talk to us in the post-game show. At the end of the post-game interview, I made the mistake by saying, "Tell me, Coach, how are y'all going to celebrate beating the #1 seed?" And Todd's filter was, he didn't have a filter. And he said, "I don't know what we're going to do, but I know what Lubbock Christian's going to do." They're going to get their box of food, and they're going to get on the bus, and they're going to go home. He said that on live radio. That was Todd. In 1993, Yellow Jackets won a second straight conference championship. Beck Wells was named as an All-American, and Damon Treadway, who's a Brownwood boy, was also named to the All-District team with Beck. All-conference players were Rudy Ramos, Treadway, Beck Wells, and Pepper Wells, along with James Bybee, Greg Burnett, Todd Brantley, Jeff Turner, and Michael Ornelli. The 1994 team completed the three-peat of conference championships and included all-district players Sean Hughes and Greg Burnett, Rudy Ramos, Todd Brantley, Travis McCain, Pepper Wells, James Bybee, Jeff Turner, Michael Ornelas. Hughes and Burnett were all named to the all-conference team, and Burnett was also named as the conference most valuable player. Greg's right there if you want his autograph. He said he right there in front of him. These guys went 40 straight games without being shut out. Greg hit .371 with 12 home runs and 50 RBIs. Matt Jallow stole 35 bases. Major league teams don't even know what a stolen base is anymore, and Matt Jallow had 35 of them that year. Sean Hughes hit 10 home runs. The assistant coaches on these teams were outstanding, and we have to shout out these guys for having to put up with Coach Howie all those years. By the way, Coach Howie is here. I'm not talking about it. He's right here. And he'll get to rebut some of this, I'm sure. Mike Kinnemer and Mark Jones, they're both here tonight, and I'll let you know your Purple Hearts are in the mail. Seriously, Todd and those players were lucky to have those guys on their side as assistant coaches. And we would, of course, be remiss if we didn't acknowledge Larry Dickel, our AD, during that time period. He and Dr. Newberry allowed Todd to be Todd, which was a very courageous thing to do. So thank you is in order for those two as well. I'll start talking about some of these players by talking about somebody I know better than any other player, and that player is, I wish he was here tonight. He's the greatest athlete ever to come out of Rising Star, Texas, and that's David White. David was a center fielder. He covered the outfield gap to gap, and in 1992 he hit .355 with 42 RBIs and 7 home runs. He's currently the head coach at Cisco College and doing a great job over there where he's built that program up. I know it's been 30 years ago, but he should have made the play on the shallow fly ball to right center field in his last game that he ever played against Tarleton. So if you see David, remind him center fielder's got to call the right fielder off on that. And 32 years is probably enough. I probably should let that go, but I just can't. I'm going to give David a hard time about that when I see him as well. Speaking of great players, Beck Wells might have been the best player in Howard Payne history, truly. In 1992, he hit .396, 9 homers, 44 RBIs, 6 of 6 stolen bases. In 1993, get this, he hit .446 in 186 at-bats with 13 homers and 68 RBIs. He could throw you out stealing. He played every day behind the plate, and most of all, he was a terrific hitter who terrorized Hardin Simmons. And 30 years later, that still warms my heart to talk about doing good against Hardin Simmons. Greg Burnett, Bernie. Hello, Bernie. He was another great player for the Yellow Jackets, a league MVP. He was just a lefty hitting cleanup hitter who tried to hit the ball absolutely as hard as he could every single time he swung the bat. And he went on to become the head coach at Texas Lutheran down at Seguin and has done a great job there. Now, Greg was a great player in large part because Greg didn't bog himself down with a whole lot of thought. It didn't matter what the count was, what the score was, how many people were on base, how many outs there was. Greg was going to try to hit the baseball at a section hand restaurant every time he swung. That's true, isn't it, Greg? I remember once I asked Greg, I said, Greg, what's your thought process when you come up and step into the batter's box? Greg kind of scrunched up his nose like he smelled something bad, you know. He scrunched up his nose like he might have ate something bad, and he said, he was highly offended that I thought he had a single solitary clue when he stepped in the batter's box. You hear me? He scrunched up his nose and he said, "Thought process. I try to swing the bat as hard as I can in case I hit it." And that, my Howard Payne people, is a pure example of the triumph of the uncluttered mind. So many great players. These teams had the ability to beat you in so many ways. They could play small ball or long ball. Didn't really matter. They were clutch and funny, which was important, and talented. And they had an amazing run of championships. Corey Beckham, he's part of this program as well, and it's so cool to see you honored tonight, Coach. All he's done is won 3 state championships as a coach, so that's not too bad. While obviously these players and their accolades are historic, to truly know these teams, you've got to know Coach Howie a little bit. Todd and I got here about the same time. I was 28, he was 26. We have our AARP cards now. Although I must say, he looks a lot older than I do. Some of you may be thinking that's just fun banter between old friends for 30 plus years. I'm serious, he looks much older than I do. At any rate, one day in 1990, I bounced over to Jack and Jim. I was going to meet the new baseball coach at Howard Payne. I knew Todd was a hard-hitting outfielder for Texas Tech. He had played at the same time Roger Clemens played down at the University of Texas, and I was at Texas when the Rocket was down there. So I knew who Todd was before I met him. And by the way, he was a hard hitter as long as the ball coming toward him was a fastball. So let's clarify that. That Uncle Charlie curveball kind of got him, but I knew his reputation. He went to Double-A baseball, I believe, in the Philadelphia Phillies organization. So I knew who he was, but I wanted to meet him. So I walk into his office and he has 2 pictures on his wall: John Wayne and Elvis Presley. And I said to myself, this is going to be a little different. This is going to be a little different, and I was certainly right about that. Can I go off script a little bit here, Dr. Hines? Is that okay with you? If John Wayne and Elvis Presley had a baby, ladies and gentlemen, Todd Howie. I loved him immediately because he was unconventional. And believe it or not, I was unconventional too. I've since matured a great deal. I'm sure my wife will substantiate that as well. But I loved Todd from the very beginning. Another Todd story. We're broadcasting a midweek doubleheader. First game, we get slaughtered. I think it was 7-1, 8-1, something like that. And in between games, I'm getting ready for game number 2, and I look out, and the players are getting ready. They got their practice T-shirts on. I said to myself, they got their practice T-shirts on. Why are we doing this? This is a real game. This is an actual sanctioned college baseball game, and they were wearing their practice T-shirts. Next game, we win. We probably beat them 8-3, 9-3. We beat them pretty good. Todd comes up for the post-game show, and I say, Todd, I just casually asked him, I said, why didn't the guys have their uniform on for game number 2? Immediately, and without 1 ounce of humor, Todd says, they didn't deserve to have HPU on their chest. They had to earn it back. And they did. That would be the first of many times when I would think to myself, my baseball coach has lost his ever-loving mind. Another time we're in Abilene, we're playing ACU. We've been beaten by ACU, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times in a row. It was really irritating to Todd that we kept losing these close games to ACU. So we go over there, middle of the week game. I think we got beat 2-1. Tough game, another 1-run loss. I gather up my radio stuff, head back to Brownwood. I get back before the sun goes down. Next day, I run into one of the players, and I say, what time y'all get back to Brownwood? I didn't see y'all on the highway. It's Highway 36. It's a 2-lane highway. Turns out, Todd wanted those guys to feel their pain, the pain that he felt when they lost 2-1. He gets on the shoulder of the highway and drives 20 miles an hour all the way back to Brownwood and turns a 70-minute trip to Brownwood into about a 2.5-hour slow burn so that guys could feel the pain of getting beat by the Wildcats. Todd, you probably ought to be glad they didn't have the transfer portal back in those days, brother. We might not be here tonight if that was the case. I know y'all probably tired of hearing me talk, so let me share a couple of things now and wrap this up for you. I know I laugh and bust these guys' chops, and I've done it for 30 years. But inside and on the reel, I've got to tell you that what these guys meant to me and what they mean to me. Todd and these guys have raised me as one of them completely, and I will forever be grateful for the grace they bestowed upon me. They made me feel like I was one of them, one of the team, always. And any work I did for them came from great joy that I had in my heart. When I woke up on a random Tuesday and I knew that I was going to go to the ballpark and watch this team play under Brownwood sunshine, I knew I was blessed, and I never tried to take that feeling for granted. The love that y'all showed me is something that I'll never forget, truly. I mean, I might forget because dementia's coming down the tracks, but until the train hits me, I'll never forget what you guys showed me back in the day. One final thing, and I promise this is my last story, and I think it accurately explains why we are honoring these teams tonight. We're getting ready to play Hardin-Simmons. It's late in the year, and we got to beat them 2 out of 3 to win the championship. Every week, prior to our conference series, Todd and I would do a radio show, and we had an agreement. He would buy me food, and I would do the radio show. It was simple. I thought it was a pretty good deal for me. So we're doing the show prior to the Hardin-Simmons series, and right at the end of the interview, I asked something really insightful because, as Abram will tell you, to be a sports information director, you have to be really insightful and highly intelligent. So I asked him a really insightful and highly intelligent question. I said, what do we have to do to beat Hardin-Simmons? What's the key? He says, you know what? Our pitchers are having trouble with the strike zone. We got to pound the strike zone, okay? We have to work ahead of the hitters. Our pitchers have been struggling for a week. We got to pound that strike zone. Very emphatic. So we go to Abilene. Everything's on the line. We got a game Friday night and a doubleheader Saturday. First inning Friday night at Hardin-Simmons, packed house. Wild Friday night on Great Street in Abilene, Texas, America. Top of the first inning, we don't score. Bottom of the first inning, Hardin-Simmons comes to bat. Leadoff batter comes up. We got Rudy Ramos pitching for us. Rudy is the nicest guy on the team. Clearly, if you've met some of these guys, you know that Rudy was the nicest guy on the team. Not only that, but he was the smartest guy on the team, and it wasn't close, I'm here to tell you. Some of these guys were on the dean's list. I don't mean to look at you, JT, as I say that, but some of these guys were on the dean's list. But I don't think any of them were on the dean's list, and I think Dr. Hines will know the difference. There's a dean's list, and then there's a dean's list. And at any rate, Rudy was the smartest guy on this team, but the leadoff hitter comes up to face Rudy. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4. First 4 pitches of the ball game. No problem. Pitchers walk the leadoff hitter in baseball every day. So I looked down at my scorebook, and when I glanced back up, I was confused. I saw a lot of movement, and there's Todd coming out of the first base dugout. I think to myself, well, I know what he said on the pregame show, so I figured he's going to go out to the mound and holler, because that's what coaches do. They holler. And you coaches can verify this. I don't know if any of you guys know this, but to get a coach's degree, you go to college and you take hollering 101, and then you graduate, and then people call you coach the rest of your life. It's not a really strenuous academic curriculum, you understand. So I know you coaches will back me up. So I'm thinking he's going to holler, and Rudy, being the smartest guy on the team, he's going to get the next 3 batters out, and we're going to go to the second inning, and everything's going to be okay. Then I see movement behind Todd in the dugout. Quick movement. Bullpen catcher is scurrying about. We got a couple of pitchers that are headed down to the bullpen to warm up. Todd, meanwhile, he looks like Usain Bolt from the first base line to the mound. He's almost in a dead sprint. I think he had the hand out to get the baseball before he even got to the mound. And Todd's not happy right now. This was yet another moment when I thought to myself, our coach has lost his mind. What is he doing? He's going to pull the starting pitcher 4 pitches into the game. He's going to blow up our bullpen. Rudy's grandma's listening to the broadcast back home, and she's saying, he's pulling my baby after 4 pitches in this ball game. What are we doing? And I'm envisioning, Larry Nichols here, he can verify this. I'm envisioning Dr. Newberry popping popcorn on his porch and listening to the broadcast and calling Larry and said, Larry, what's wrong with the baseball coach? And Larry said, Dr. Newberry, I don't know. You told me to hire him, So I'm having all this in my head. We're trying to win a championship. We got a doubleheader to play next day. Our bullpen's getting blown up. Anyway, while the relievers are warming up furiously, the umpires know Todd's crazy, so they're giving our pitchers plenty of time so we don't tear any rotator cuffs, you understand. And while they're warming up, we go to a break in the broadcast. I'm watching the body languages on the mound. Infielders have their hands on their hips. And there's no hollering going on. It's just Todd. And he's talking to Rudy. And they're making eye contact. Sure enough, Rudy leaves. He is being pulled from the game 4 pitches in. He leaves the mound, and we go on to lose game 1 of the series. After the game, and I assume Todd might get fired before he even gets to the parking lot at this point. So after the game, and Abram will confirm this too, when you're doing a game on the radio, if Howard Payne loses, you wrap up the post-game show very quickly. You want to get out of that thing, and hey, we lost, but we're going to go get them next time. See you later. You don't linger. Todd comes up to the press box for the post-game. I didn't dare ask him about pulling Rudy. But right at the end of the interview, I say to Todd, who are we going to throw tomorrow? And immediately he says, Rudy Ramos. And he's going to be great. The next day, Rudy pitched. And I can assure you he did not walk the leadoff hitter. We won the game, and then in game 3, Hardin Simmons did what Hardin Simmons always did against these guys in game 3 of series. They lost to us in baseball. Why does that still get me fired up 30-something years later? I don't know, but I still like the sound of that. What Todd did that day and what Rudy and the rest of the team did that weekend is why they are being honored tonight. Todd told me that Rudy was going to be great. But prior to telling me that, on that mound in Abilene, before Rudy made that long walk from the mound to the dugout, he told Rudy that he was going to be great. He could have buried him on the bench, never put him on the mound again. He could have forgot about him, but he didn't. Instead, he made sure that Rudy knew that tomorrow he was going to be great. Amen? That's coaching. That's teaching. That's trusting. That's believing. That's love. And all of that is why tonight, for their success and commitment at Howard Payne and Howard Payne Athletics, and their commitment to each other, that HPU Sports would like to recognize the 1992 and 93 and 94 HPU baseball teams as the 2024 HPU Sports Alumni Teams of the Year. Several of these players could not attend tonight, but did attend a home HPU baseball game on March 23rd and were recognized. Some of these players are here tonight, some are not. Travis Page, Travis McCain, Jeff Turner, Beck Wells, Brent Franklin, Matt Jallo, Pepper Wells, Andy Johnson, Corey Beckham, and Todd Howie. And speaking on behalf of the team now will be Coach Todd Howie. Thank you.
Well, very quickly,
I retired from education about 2 years ago. I've been an athletic director for 25 years. I thought, it'd be kind of cool to maybe get back into, go back to Howard Payne and maybe teach and work with young coaches and some experience I had as an athletic director and a coach and et cetera. And after that, Mike, I'm pretty sure that you were sure that will never happen. If I ever was to apply, my application will be shredded. But very quickly, and that was very kind of what Mike said. And here's the deal. These kids, I say kids, these grown men, these fathers, these husbands, these grown men, last time I was with these guys, they were all in a baseball uniform. And those teams, they were tough kids. And I was very hard to play for. And I was talking to Jonesy a while back, and we'll get to Corey here in a little bit, and I said, Jones, those guys hate my guts. Because I was very hard to play for. But all I can say is this, is that those are the 3 of the greatest years of my life as a coach, the best job I ever had. And as tough as I was, and it goes back to my Christian faith, as tough as I was, I never loved winning more than I loved these kids. And I keep calling them kids. And those teams were salty. And we were tough. And we would take on anybody. We'd go to Texas Tech. We went to Texas. We didn't care. We would take anybody on. And I've never seen a group of guys fight as hard as these guys fought. 3 of the greatest years of my life was coaching over there at that softball field with these guys. So I'm very honored, and I know these guys are very honored as well, because we worked hard and we earned it, and we were champions. And I think you see a result of that today, because these guys are still champions in life. So I appreciate this. It's a big deal for me. And I don't look older than Blackwell, I promise you. I don't think I do. But I'm going to be very quick. I got to see Dr. Nickel here. And just a quick, and I'm going to share a story when I get to introduce Corey into the Hall of Fame. But I appreciate Dr. Nickel. And he may or may not know this. When I was coaching, we just won our second conference championship. And I was pretty proud of myself. And anyway, I was supposed to teach summer school, and I forgot. And I get a call from Dr. Nickel's secretary. Hey, Coach, are you supposed to be teaching the class? Your class is here. Where are you? I thought, I teach summer school? So he goes, well, Dr. Nickel wants to see you. I thought, well, what's he going to do? Fire me? I just won my second state, my second conference championship. So I go into Dr. Nickel's office, and he proceeds to tell me how unprofessional that was. He proceeds to tell me how it made our department look bad. But that's not what what educator's all about. So I go from thinking, what's he going to do, fire me, to think, oh my God, he's going to fire me. And I never have forgotten that, even though he has. When I was the athletic director in San Antonio, we had 11 high schools. I had 600 coaches. And we had a couple of coaches that, and I shared that story with my ADs. I said, I talked about how I got called from the carpet by Larry Nickel and how he put me back in my place. And I shared that story with my athletic director. We had a couple of coaches that were kind of getting big, and kind of like I was getting at that one time. And I said, listen, Coach, you need to go talk to him and put him back in his place. So about 2 weeks later, I see that coach. I said, man, what did you say to him? I mean, he's showing up for meetings now. He's helping the principal. What did you say to him? He goes, Coach, I gave him to Larry Nickel. So in San Antonio ISD, when you got the Larry Nickel, it means you got put in your place. So Dr. Nickel, I appreciate that. You don't remember that, but I do. Anyway, back to these players. This is a great honor. I wish they all could speak, and everything Blackwell said is true. There's a lot more that we did, but I will tell you, these kids took it, and they are champions, and it's an honor. I can't tell you how this cool this is for me. So I'm going to step back, and we're going to proceed. Well, I think who wants to say? I think somebody should. Travis, you got the best looking hair. You go ahead.
Man, we do have a lot of stories, and what's interesting is, we won conference championships, but we don't talk about a lot of the wins and the big games. We talk about the things that brought us together as a team, the crazy things that happened on road trips, and those are a lot of the memories that we have. And I'll tell people about our experience, and what made us great was we just loved one another. I mean, we really did. We were all come from different places, different backgrounds, but when we were together, we truly were a team. And I know that's the reason we were able to have the success that we had, and the memories that we have at HPU are truly for a lifetime. And you know, I can speak for everybody here that we haven't seen each other, and a lot of us, in 30 years. I mean, this is like the first time we've seen a lot of us, and but it's just like we were sitting on the bench together, you know, in the early 90s. So anyway, I love you guys. I wish we all could be here. There's so many more that I wish could be here, but I appreciate this honor. And Coach Howie, we love you. I mean, we're thankful that you came in. I mean, for any of you that were here that played, I may be the only one, well, Kenner, but that played before Howie, we're so thankful that he came and really put some discipline into our team, held us accountable. We remember the verse that was posted in our dugout, that iron sharpens iron, and so does one man sharpen one another. And so we took that with us, and that's, you know, what we share with our kids and those we come in contact today. And so we're thankful for that experience.
I got Blackwell's speech here. You can read it again. Do I have that? Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Okay. Corey Beckham. I'm going to read some things about Corey real quick. 1991 graduate of China Spring High School. He played football, basketball, and baseball. He was a member of the 1989 state baseball championship team. 92-93, he was a member of Cedar Valley Suns baseball team that went to the JUCO World Series. In 94-95, he was a member of the Howard Payne baseball team, which I coached. He was on the conference championship team in 1994, and also was all conference in 1995. His coaching career is better than most, and I was shocked when I read down all he's accomplished. He started his coaching career at Brewer High School. He was at the head baseball coach at Connolly High School, head coach at West High School, Lake Belton High School. He's currently the head coach at China Springs High School, and they're still playing in the state playoffs, Texas State playoffs. This guy's won 3 state championships. Most coaches go their entire career and don't win one. Most coaches go their entire career and don't even make the state tournament. This guy's won 3 state championships. That's unheard of. Over 500 wins, and he's still adding to that. He's a national finalist for the Coach of the Year in 2016, Super Centex Coach of the Year in 2015 and 2023. Man, this is almost as long as Blackwell's speech. During his 27-year coaching career, over 550 wins, not counting this year, 15 district championships, 1 state finalist, 3 state championships, and he might win a 4th this year. And last year, Jonesy and I went and saw him play, and they won both games in the state tournament in 12 innings. Game 1 and Game 2. And I remember, well, I'll get that in a second. So he's married, he's got his family. I'll let him introduce them, but his wife Candace and their daughter Braylee is a freshman at Texas A&M, and their son Caden is a 7th grader at China Spring. Before I bring Corey up, I want to share a quick story with you. When I said these kids were tough, they were tough. Because and obviously things are different today. And I was coaching a manner in high school that you couldn't coach today. There's no way you could coach them that way. And the way I coach, you probably could not coach that way. And so I'm grateful they didn't have social media. They didn't have phones and cameras, because I would have gotten fired. Most of these guys might have got kicked out of school. But one quick story about Corey. I'll tell his family this. That Corey, he was a tough kid. He was tough. And we had played a game. I can't remember where we were at. Maybe Dallas Baptist. So we were coming back, and we couldn't get a bunt down that game. I was furious. We couldn't get a bunt down. So I get my team, and I was like, I'd gotten released like 4 years before from the Phillies, so I could still play a little bit. So we couldn't get a bunt down. So instead of going back to the dorm, we went straight to the baseball field. We had like 30 guys crammed in, 2 little old vans. I made them get out. I said, we're going to do a bunt drill. So I lined them all up, and I got about from here to Damon Sign on the pitching, and I was this close to them pitching. And I was throwing as hard as I could. I was rearing back. I'm going to say, we're going to get these bunts down. So who wants to be first? No quarters, I'll be first. So he gets in there, and he gets the bat. He's ready to bunt, and I'm throwing hard. And I rear back, and I let one rip, and it gets away from me. And I hit Corey right square in the middle of his bat. Boom. It just got complete silence. And what did Corey do? I said, look, guys, if you don't get the bunt down, you're going to have to run to that foul pole, touch it, and you're going to have to come back. So Corey's up there. He's the first one. He digs in. Like I said, boom, I hit him right in the back. I was probably 20 feet away. Now, he may still have a bruise from that. And I hit him right in the back. And Corey turns and looks at me. He drops his bat, and he ran and touched the foul pole and came back because he didn't get the bunt down. He was a tough kid. That was a mistake on my behalf. If Dr. Nickel would have heard that, I'd probably gotten fired. But he took it. He took it. And last year, when Jonesy said, hey, man, let's go see Corey in the state tournament, I said, man, that guy hates my guts. I hit him in the back. And after that day, I said, Corey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know. I think he might have believed me. But when I saw Corey last year in Austin, we were sitting there talking, and I said, Corey, do you remember? He goes, oh, yeah, I remember that. I go, man, I have felt bad about that my entire life. And I still kind of feel bad about it. But he was a tough kid. And that was a tough team. And I don't know if I had anything to do with his success in coaching or not. Probably not. But to do what he's done as a high school baseball coach is pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. And he's an HPU Yellow Jacket. He was a champion then, and he's still a champion today. So Corey, come on up. Congratulations.
I don't have a bruise on my back anymore. I've healed up. I got a few things to say. Some of them are funny. Some of them are true. I want to start off saying thanks to the athletic department, Hunter Sims, for this honor. It's a great accomplishment. I'd like to thank all of my teammates. And a couple of them are here that I want to sing aloud. Pep, JT, and Bernie. They were like the recruiting coordinators. If it wasn't for them, I would have never came here. They were my teammates in junior college, and I wanted to be around my friends, so I came here. A little bit about each one of them. piggybacks off the team we had. JT, he was pretty. He was the pretty guy. He also where's he at? He did this thing that was funny. He really wasn't very fast, but he thought he was. And he would do this thing on his pants where we had double pockets on the back. He would pull back the pants on the back. He said, those are my parachutes. It slows me down. Because I run so fast, I got to slow down past first base. But he was my shortstop buddy, and we played beside each other, and you get a good bond with your buddy like that. Pep, I would say this. We talked a little bit about it today, but Pep, number one, was a great player, but a tough player. And I know his last year, he got sick. We really didn't even know he was sick. And he was playing sick, and he was in tons of pain and played through this illness that was debilitating at the time. And all he did was produce and kept producing and kept producing. And it was just amazing to be a teammate and see how tough he was. And of course, Coach Burnett. Now, some of the stuff Blackwell said about Bernie, y'all got to know the real truth. He was so good at hitting, but mainly because he never had to work on defense because he wasn't any good on defense. He only got to work. All of us other guys had to work on defense and offense. He didn't. He just worked on offense, so he had more time to work on the hitting, and that was part of his success. But seriously, Greg Burnett, if I could categorize him, he was the greatest teammate I played with. I appreciate you, Greg. All right, moving on. I would also like to, of course, tell Coach Howley thank you. And yes, I am a better coach because of him. All the coaches that we have as players, you model after him, but definitely Coach Howley's one of them. Coach Kinnemer's here. He took over after Coach Howley and just kept the program going. And Coach Jones here, he was the assistant coach, and he was doing half the work anyway for Coach Howley. We all mentored him. He was one of my infielders coaches and helped us along the way. So we really appreciate you guys. I've got my family here. I want to introduce them. My wife, Candace, my son, Caden, daughter, Brayley. Her boyfriend is here. My in-laws, Mike and Tammy, and my brother and his significant other, Brenda. My brother, Gil, which was an HPU teammate as well. So he was here with us. Another amazing teammate in HPU Yellow Jacket. So I want to talk about my time at HPU. 3 years, 3 amazing years. 3 years I'll never forget. I started here as a boy and left it as a young man. I think most of us did that. I wasn't a fully grown man, a young man still at the time. But I showed some maturity. And HPU, I have to thank you for that. I would like to talk about some of my most memorable moments. One of them was the Colorado trip. I still can't get my head around the fact that we went to Colorado and the players drove. We drove. We rented vehicles. We drove a Ford Taurus with 4 of us to Colorado, and we rented a whole bunch of them out, and the players were driving the team. We got in a blizzard on the way back, and we were going like 10 miles an hour. We lost each other. We don't have phones then. We were on our own in a blizzard in a Ford Taurus trying to find our way back to Brownwood. We had to stop and get a map. It was just a very eventful. If you told the players that now that we did, they would not believe it. We found our way back. The next one was the San Antonio trip, St. Mary's. We can't let that one go down. After a couple tough losses, and then a long running session afterwards. Those double headers are long out, guys. BP before the game's long, it's hot, and you are tired. You are hungry. You're very hungry. And by the time we got on that bus, we could not wait to get home. Now, earlier that morning, some of the players were griping at breakfast. We didn't get the orange juice or the Dr. Peppers. We had to drink water because I'm sure we were on a budget. And you tag that along with 2 losses. But we got on the bus and we're like, God, can't wait to stop. I wonder where we're going to stop and eat. And we just kept driving. and driving. And I don't know, we tried to get Bernie. Bernie was one of the favorites, and we're like, ask where we're going to eat. And we noticed there was a couple of grocery bags up there, paper, the brown paper bags up there. We noticed them. We're like, I wonder what's in that. And so I'm guessing, 2 or 3 hours into the trip, way out in the country between San Antonio, we pull over. And we're like, okay. And they get the bags out and go, there's your food, guys. We open it up. It's bologna, bread, no mustard or mayonnaise, just bologna bread and some jugs of water. And I'm going to tell you, that was a good meal. We ate that food like no other. We were starving. And we did it. And like Coach Howie said, if we did that now, we would be in trouble for that. These kids wouldn't know what to think. But we'll never forget that trip and the bologna sandwiches. The next couple stories have a theme. The theme is sometimes you have to go and sometimes you don't. I guess another word would be sometimes you stand your ground, sometimes you don't. And of course, I'm going to go back to the story with Coach Howie when he plunked me. And he's a large man. And like I said, he looked a little different then. He was well built. And when I got plunked by that ball, I had a choice to make. I threw that bat down. I was thinking there for a second, just for a second. I was not going to the mound. I went straight to that fence, mattered it could be, and I took it, and I guess it toughened me up, but I went right back and got in line with everybody else. Ironically, the next year, now this is not something I'm proud of. If you guys knew this, if you put the story together, I probably wouldn't be here because you probably wouldn't be recognizing me today. But probably one of the worst HPU memories is the great fight of 1995. And like I said, sometimes you got to go, sometimes you don't. And Hardin Simmons was part of it. And I just happened to be the guy at the bat. And the previous years when we celebrated the conference championship against Hardin Simmons, and things were not good between us. And then the very next year, I'm up the bat, and I tried to bunt a ball right down the first baseline, and it tricked the foul. And this big old first baseman, I think his name was James Bostic, trucked me, put an elbow right on me, knocked me sideways. And here comes JT and my brother out of the dugout, and I didn't see him get out of it. I was on my back, and they got me back up to bat. It was a foul ball, and I noticed the pitcher and the first baseman and third baseman all gathered beside each other, and I could see something was planned, and Coach Kittimer gave me the bunt again, probably because I couldn't hit very good. And here comes the ball, and once again I got plunked right in the back, and that was the time to go. So I went to the mound, and I guess the good thing about it, we didn't beat them in baseball. We beat them up that day. We got them. Coach Kittimer was in it too. But that was one of the memories. I know it's not a fond memory, but it's a memory. Seriously, all the things that we learned here, the one thing we all had in common, all three of the teams, but every baseball player in Howard Payne, and still has this today for Coach Lynn's team. If you're playing baseball here, you love the game. You have to. And the thing about it, as a coach now, that's what I look for my players. If you love the game, you got a chance. You got a chance. And it's something that was built in us. It's the players that you get here have to have that, and it's essential in building a team. That's how you have a great team. And the teams that I'm coaching right now, all these successful teams that they talked about, they have that love. The team I'm coaching now has that love. And when you do, you have a chance. The game's tough, but having that love for the game is special. All of this helped me become a better person. I made a lot of mistakes. I had to learn from them. It truly got me ready to become a man, a husband, a father, and of course a coach. I appreciate my time here. One of my players just the other day asked me, he said, "Hey coach, do you ever cry?" And I started thinking about that. I was like, yeah. I said, I cried at Howard Payne University after my last baseball game. I got in my vehicle by myself and I drove out of Don Shepherd Park, and I bawled all the way home because I knew my time was over. And everybody has that time when you play a sport when your days are done, and that was my time. And I told them that. And their time's coming too one day. but I cried right out there. And yeah, I guess the last thing I want to say is just thank you, HPU, for making me a man. Thank you, guys.
Go ahead and come up. Up next will be Miss April Wyatt to present our first Hall of Fame inductee, Christy Lyons. Also, we'll take a picture each time each one comes up, and then at the end of the program, we will move these off the stage where you all can take pictures with them, and then we'll take them down, and they're yours to take home with you, a gift from us as well. And then, as always, the banner for Team of the Year will go to the highest bidder, whoever wants to take it home. Go ahead and come up.
Good evening. My name is April Wyatt. I am a 2003 graduate of Howard Payne University. Tonight I have the honor of inducting my best friend, Christy Lyons. I'm already getting dry. Into the Howard Payne University Sports Hall of Fame. That woman right there. She was nominated into the Sports Hall of Fame by Coach K. He was our coach at the time. In 1999, Christy and I both were recruited to play basketball for Coach Jones, assisted by Coach K. Unfortunately for me, I was also intending on being a point guard. You guys can probably assume the amount of playing time that I got through the years playing on the same team with that woman. I remember the first time that I met her. Her energy lit up the court. I was drawn to her immediately, and we became fast friends. At the time, we were two 18-year-old young women from two very different backgrounds. We came together, though, with our love for basketball. Although we're still very, very young women. 25 years of life have happened since that moment, but we still remain best friends. On the court, Christy was competitive, but never arrogant. She was patient, yet she knew exactly when to explode. She also had the quickest crossover that would take everyone, most everyone, not me, by surprise. I learned so much from Christy on the court, but what I'm most thankful for is what she taught me off the court. Her love for the game of basketball pales in comparison to the love that she has for her family. Her beautiful mother, Jude, is her rock. Her sisters and brother, dad, nieces and nephews, aunts and uncles are her world. She has always made them a priority in her life, and they truly have a family dynamic that is one to be admired. Christy, hold on. Let me tell you about this Christy Lyons, now that we got over the stuff that was about to make me cry. Christy was part of the Lady Jacket basketball program from 1999 to 2003. She majored in social work. She has a career average of 13.9 points, 3.9 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 2.7 steals per game. Lyons is the first ever female basketball player to lead her team to 4 straight winning seasons in HPU Lady Jacket history. These 4 winning seasons set the foundation for the next few winning seasons that culminated when the Lady Jackets won their first NCAA Division III national title in 2008. Lyons broke the 1,000 point mark in her career, totaling 1,302 points, which at the time placed her 5th in HPU history. Now she's 8th. She also set school records in steals in a season with 74 and career steals at 263. Lyons also finished her career in the top 5 in most field goals made, 477, most free throws made, 328, most career assists, 373, and most assists in a season, 109. February 2nd, 2003, versus Mary Hardin Baylor. She scored 46 points, which is the most points scored in a game in Howard Payne and American Southwest Conference history. I remember that game very well. That girl could not miss. I, however, managed to miss a wide open breakaway layup in front of my entire family. I'm grateful that was not on record. Lyons was named to Concordia Classic's All-Tournament Team 3 times, ASC Freshman of the Year, First Team All-West Division 4 times, Most Valuable Player at the Rowan Invitational, Team Captain for 2 seasons, and the ASC Player of the Week 3 times. In 2001, Christy wrote an inspirational paper in one of her classes. Coach K actually framed that paper and hung it up in our locker room. In this paper, she expressed her desire to leave a positive impact wherever she went. Christy, I can tell you with confidence that you have done that over and over and over again throughout your life. Well done, my friend. I'm profoundly proud of you.
Hello everyone, how are y'all? My name is Cammie Collins. I'm a graduate of Howard Payne 2006. Christy was actually the reason I came to school here. She recruited me, I loved it, and so, she was the foundation of a lot of the things, the great program that we ended up having. I'm actually here on behalf of Coach Kay Kilsmeyer. He was unable to be here because of recruiting, so I'm going to read his speech for him. Confidence, the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something. Firm trust. When I first met Christy, it was my first year out of college. I was 23 years old. It was my first coaching position as an assistant coach. I had a lot of confidence in myself because of the people I had been around and what I had learned from them. I quickly learned that no matter how much confidence in yourself you have as a coach, you must have good players that are confident in their ability and willing to ultimately believe in you. Christy was a confident player from the first time I met her and always was, no matter the situation. Even after I became the head coach our second year together and went to Christmas break 2 and 6, she never wavered in her belief in herself and me. I remember feeling how scared I was to get on the plane and come back to Texas after the break. We went on to be 12 and 4 that semester, tied the school win record Christy's junior year, and then proceeded to break it 5 more years in a row, culminating in the perfect storm in 2008. Thousands remember that year. Not as many know that 9 years earlier Not as many know that 9 years earlier that foundation was being built on the court by one person. This young, hard-headed baller that believed she could take over any game at any time, named Christy Lyons. What if she didn't believe in me or the program we were building? Would the perfect storm have happened? Would I have been the coach that I am now with over 500 wins? Thankfully, I don't have to ask that I don't have to answer that because of the belief that Chrissy put in me and her teammates. Chrissy is and always has been a confident, passionate person towards life and the people she touches. I am forever grateful for her helping me become the coach I am today. The confident feeling and belief she gives to others is truly a special attribute and something Chrissy has always and will be known for. Chrissy will continue to believe and impact others the rest of her life. To my friend Christy Lyons.
It is now with great honor that Howard Payne University formally inducts Christy Lyons into the HPU Sports Hall of Fame.
I've been crying since I stepped foot in here. That was a surprise to me, by the way. I had no idea they were going to do that. I didn't have no idea Coach K was going to speak through Cammy. They've been surprising me ever since I came in here. At first, I was running around here panicking. I asked Avon, can I say something? I've been making bullet points at the table since everybody's been talking. But I can't just get the words went on stage. This moment is far too special to me right now. First, I want to thank Howard Payne because I truly feel blessed right now to be recognized like this. That I really just play for the love the game. I just truly love basketball. Everybody tell me, are you going to be a coach? I just play for the love of the game. I love the game. Everything about it. Basketball has taken me to places that I never thought I would be. First of all, college. Basketball brought me to college. Basketball brought me back here to see people I haven't seen in over a decade. I used to talk about Howard Payne a lot, and I didn't think about it like I thought about it now. Besides basketball, I look back and what was so special about Howard Payne as my faith grew stronger was to be able to receive my education and worship at the same place. That's what's special to me right now. And also, I'm going to be real brief after this. I have to point out some people tonight that helped me through my Howard Payne journey. First of all, as April said at the start, there's nothing more important to me than family. I love my mother. I love my family. And my mother wasn't with me at first, but she's here now. And while she wasn't here, God put some people in the pathway to keep me safe until I got her back. But right now, this is special for her to be with me in this moment right now. And that's my mom right there in the black dress that's been crying with me since I've been here. And also, I have another family who is extremely special to me. And if y'all heard anybody yelling before the program started in the hallway, that was me yelling because I've seen a face I haven't seen in 25 years. The family who brought me here to Howard Payne, who took care of me when I didn't have my mom. And she's gonna kill me because she's just like me. We don't want the attention on us. But she's very special to me and I love her very much. I love her. But thank you and she's super. And she was a Howard Payne. We're both Howard Payne alumni also. And also, how special is it to be introduced or spoken about like that by my best friend? She's been in my life for 25 years. I can say it's still very young, but 20 plus years. Tammy Collins, you tricked me. You didn't tell me what you were doing. I knew y'all were up to something. Thank you, Tammy, for doing that. And I've been speaking with Coach K also, back and forth. He couldn't be here. Coach K was my biggest mentor on and off the court. He spoke about me that way, but that's anybody would be lucky to have a man as a coach. He brought greatness out of me that I didn't think I had. I didn't know I had. He molded me into this. I don't feel like receiving it without him. He was great. And also somebody who put up with me a lot was another good friend who's also my trainer who held for me. She used to wrap my ankle. I tore my ankle. You know how you tweak your ankle every time? She would wrap my ankle. 5 minutes later, I'm taking it off on the court, throwing it back. Something else. Get over here, Buffy. Very Buffy right there. She put up with a lot of help from me, and she was another surprise. Can I see her? That's okay, right? I'm getting told. Okay. No. Derek and her family here. Thank you, Derek, for putting up with me and everything on and off the court. I love you. I love all of y'all. I love Howard Payne. Thank you for riding with me today. Have a good night.
All right, presenting our next Sports Hall of Fame induction will be Dr. Larry Nickel, presenting today.
I'll apologize in advance. I'm having trouble with my voice tonight, so if I get words you can't hear me, let me know. I can't express what a pleasure it is to be back in Howard Payne. I spent 6 years here as athletic director back in the 90s. And those 6 years are still some of my family's fondest memories. We were all over. My wife Mary, all classes, coached tennis. And the 4 boys grew up running all over to that campus, Blue Jacket Gym, on the sidelines of Williams Stadium, here in the Coliseum, and watching these guys hit balls over that big old right field fence into the PWC building. They loved every minute of it. My daughter was born here, and at the ripe old age of 6 days, made the 3-hour trip to Wichita Falls for the conference championship football game. Howard Payne had a huge impact on our family, and we were blessed to be a part of this institution. I've always said that I'd never be one of those old guys who talk about how great the olden days were. But let me tell you something. Being a yellow jacket in the 1990s, it seemed like we wanted everything. I felt like the luckiest guy in the world receiving national recognition. I had on one side of me the best college president in all of the world. He was smart, he was honest, and above all else, he loved kids like nobody else loved him. I still consider Dr. Bobby a very important great person. On the other side, I had exceptional student athletes. He was talented talented, and maybe more importantly, they were wonderful representatives of the school on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. I was also honored to work along the side of many great coaches. We won a lot of games, but they didn't fight well. Maybe with the exception of hitting somebody in the back, other than that. We're here tonight to celebrate one of those things. In 1989, while still a student, Damon started men's volleyball. He continued to volunteer coach that team through 1997. In 1997, the men's volleyball team at Howard Payne finished 17th in the nation and got second in the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Association. And to give that little perspective, the other members in the SIAA were Baylor, University of Texas, Texas A&M, North Texas State, Texas State. Pretty good accomplishment. 1992, Payne was named as an assistant coach on the volleyball team, who went 32-8 and won the PIAA. In 1993, he was named head coach, and his first year as a head coach, he was second in the PIAA with the NAI District 6 semifinal. In 1994, in only his second year to be a head coach, they won the conference championship and they won the coaching. In 1995, he repeated that by winning another conference championship and being HPU. In 1996, he repeated, won a conference championship and became coach of the year. In 1997, Damon moved to his first year there. They had the first winning season they had had in 6 years. During his time there, he had 2 freshman of the year players and 1 MVP. In 2001, Damon moved back up to the Metroplex, which was home for him, got pretty active in the club volleyball scene, and established and coached teams that were competed on the highest level nationally. In 2004, Greenville High School came calling and named him their volleyball coach. In 2008, he moved to Rockville High School as their volleyball coach, and he achieved his 500th career victory there. He's currently the head volleyball coach in Jesuit State. That's quite a record of success. I mean, there's more than that. And he was hired in 1993 for head coach. There had been some issues here before. He was pretty young. He was 23 years old. He was undaunted. The character, integrity, and maturity he displayed was well known. His consistency was locked into volleyball. But his true legacy is he displays your successes on the court, but rather by the way he lies probably just he has incredible coaching skills. There are numbers of people who played for him or coached with him and now are volleyball. The list is too long to recite here. I found it noteworthy that 11 of those people and when he left Rockwall High School, he showed us a looking of his heart. He took a job teaching math at Gaston Middle School in Dallas. Gaston Middle School was made up because he came from a very low socioeconomic situation. He didn't have any of the advantages of life. Damon will always be remembered as an innovative teacher. And that's why I'm honored tonight. Jackson Nelson, as the newest member of the HPU Athletic Hall.
so much. Larry Nichols, incredible leader, my first leader. Just incredibly optimistic and just very simple leader, Larry Nichols. Very blessed to have that start my career. I want to thank Howard Payne and anybody that was involved in this, Hunter Sims and Corey and everybody that part of this. Of course, it's an incredible honor. And I'm very honored to join Denver Shear and Gonzalez and my superstar that's sitting back there, Micah Allen. And I'm going to get to Howard Payne volleyball as a whole, but I want to just throw in there, Micah Allen was an absolute phenom that I got to coach. He hit the ball about 3 million miles an hour and made me look good a lot. And I'm very thankful for that. And there is more to the story, but it is a big part of that story, and having her here is a huge honor. Having my family here, and really the foundation of who I am, very selfless, and unconditional love is what comes to mind. My family, my sisters are here, my nephews are doing their best to stay with them, and a good friend of mine, Craig, is here. I'm also honored to have one of the greatest intramural coordinators of all time in Howard Payne history. No man has put together better intramural teams than someone in the area over there. He's blushing. Football, basketball, volleyball. This man truly definitely intramural coordinator, Hall of Fame. And it's Kyle Henry. I'm honored that he is here. So I'm honored to be here. If you don't know, I'm actually the grandfather of this guy right over here. I'm Damon Wilson Sr. Proud of him. My wife was like, "Who is that?" It's me. But I am honored. I did want to say just a couple of things. I appreciate you guys hanging in. I have been absolutely thrilled for these last 2 months. I will confess I've had this recurring dream for 2 months. In this dream, someone walks up to me, very official, and he says, "I am here. We just wanted to kind of finalize the Hall of Fame and confirmation that you are in the Hall of Fame." It tells me that Micah Allen was on your team, right? Yeah. Sarah Hogan, four-time all-conference player, she was on the team. Yeah. Robin Pittman, she was all-state. You know, Stacy Fletcher, yeah. Kristen Storms, the top of the team. Yeah. I'm like, what are you getting at? We have 14 all-conference players on your team. I said, yeah. And then he said, it's fine. It's protocol. And he hands me that flag. And in my dream, I look, and there I am. Across my chest, it says lucky. And my subconscious knows what a fortunate situation that I was in. I was named as an assistant on a team that was 32 named, and they were so good. And one of the things that happens when you're coaching good players, everything sounds better. Say something, and then you're like, I am really smart. Like I'm good at this. And I felt a little bit susceptible to that. And it did hurt me at times. Later, it's just been a couple of years ago, I was coaching a very important championship game in 2022. It was a very close game, deciding game. I called the timeout, and I pulled the setter aside, and I said, listen, you got to trust me here, and you got to set my game. He said, listen, for the 100th time, Micah Allen is not on this team. It's 14 and under, and we're boys. Like, okay, you know, he had some solid points. But to my point, I still would have set Micah. I'm just saying, it's always a good idea. But it was just a fantasy land camp for me the 9 years that I was at Howard Payne. And I'm so glad that Larry mentioned the men's team. I'm so incredibly proud. And it's just insane. Even as I look back, we had a really good men's volleyball team in Brownwood, Texas. We talked people into coming to Brownwood to play volleyball. And they got to our gym, they're like, what? But I'm extremely proud of that. But it was a place that for me, I can never duplicate again. I had a story of a student. I want to give you a picture of the registration process in the early 90s at Howard Payne University and kind of where I was with volleyball. In 1990 something, registered class, you give them a paper, and then she said, okay, that'll be, whatever, $1,000. And I said, I don't have that $1,000. I have actually nothing. And they're like, oh, okay. You're going to need to go to our financial aid department. So I was at this counter. Financial aid was at this counter right here. So I turned to my right. I'm like, hey, how are you? Would you sign this? And I signed a piece of paper, and she said to me, you'll get your jerseys in a couple of months. And that's kind of my mentality. I think she said something about that I was getting a student loan, and it was like a $2,500 payment for living off campus. But I was so in love with the university, so in love with this idea of having men's volleyball, that student loan check was going to be a Mizuno jersey, just like the national team wore. And I'll have plenty of money left over to live in Brownwood, Texas. And I couldn't have been happier, and I sit here so proud that at that time that was kind of my boundary system. I had a couple of memorable quotes that I wanted to share, and some of those were with Larry Nickel. And I remember after Perry Young, the late Perry Young, changed my life and offered me the job to assistant coach and kind of made it clear that he would let me do whatever I want. I thought, wow, I can do this. Larry Nickel offered me the job, but it was very memorable, one thing that he said. He said, Damon, I want to offer you the job. Now, if it was me, I probably wouldn't take the job. And I thought, well, that's kind of some Jedi mindset. I said, well, I'm probably going to take the job, Larry, but if I were you, I might not offer it to you. He said, well, you know what I'm trying to say. I said, are you talking about you being me, or am I letting this? He's like, I'm sorry, let's just be ourselves. I said, now that's something that I'm just saying. But what Larry was trying to say is he offered me the job at 1/3 of a teacher's salary. I was offered $8,000. And he didn't even want to tell me. Like, he just kind of, like, man, you could make a lot more than that. I just say that to say, again, it was such a fantasy for me. I was like, I'm going to coach the men's team and the women's team and get $8,000. I was just thrilled to do that. People would say, how are you going to live on $8,000? And I would say, I don't know. I just don't know. And I did not care. But that was one really memorable meeting that I had with Larry. Another one, this is a great one. I remember him saying, oh. The context was, I was standing in Jacket Gym, and the floor was totally neon yellow. And I had painted it. Now, 2 weeks earlier, I had gone into Larry Nichols' office, and I said, hey, we're the only team that competes on campus. Let's make Jacket Gym, let's highlight the fact that it is a volleyball school. Can I paint that area and highlight it? And I don't know if he was kind of busy or whatever, but he said, yeah, that sounds great. He did not know that a week later, I would be at Rent Center renting a sander. I would go to Sherman-Williams and just ask for yellow paint. I didn't say, hey, I need to match the colors of how. I just said, I get some yellow paint, please, and some tape. I taped down the lemons, and Phil Fuller's son, Clint Fuller, was 10, and he's walking through the gym. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, painting. He's like, what are you doing? 2 minutes later, Clint Fuller and I are painting the gym, the Yellow Jacket Gymnasium. So during that time, if you walk into the gym on our campus, you're like, what is happening? But I wanted everyone to know that volleyball was a thing in the 90s at Howard Payne. And it was. And Larry walked in 2 weeks later, and he said, oh, I didn't know that's what you meant. I thought, he was like, you know what, it looks good, it looks great. So I always remember that, and so I look back at that, and I part of the story, my story at Howard Payne, I was 100% in love with Jacket Gym. This beat up gym, no air conditioning. If you play, we had a tournament at 3 o'clock. We're like, okay, you're serving over there, you're going to lose because the sun's in your eyes. But it doesn't matter. It was incredible. On a Tuesday night in Jacket Gym, starting in about 1992, the girls were friends with the football players, so baseball players, people started to come. 94, we get even better. It was standing room only. If you put 10 people in Jacket Gym, it sounded like a sellout crowd. A full gym. I am not kidding you. I could not even think. It was so loud, and I will always treasure that time that I had. Such an incredible, special thing. And it's just this message about it's not the quality of something, but does it have a soul? And what do you make of that thing? And I just have this incredible affinity. And another thing that I'm so proud of, we talked to whoever's running Stinger Days and said, hey, after spring sing, why don't y'all come over? I'll invite someone over. We'll have a midnight volleyball match. And they're like, sure. Okay. So I called some friends that played Texas Tech and said, hey, you're not going to believe this. We are going to have a packed house at midnight in Brownwood. So in 1995 and 1996, if you happen to be around, we had a sold-out crowd watching men's volleyball at midnight. I'm so proud of that. It was some level of my insanity, and I was so happy and in love with the campus, the people on the campus, and what it was that we were doing. As has been mentioned, I'm now coaching at Dallas Jesuit, and we're building a boys' high school program, and kind of doing the same thing again, starting something new. And as I'm doing this, I have another conversation with Larry Nickel. And it's one of those things, you know, when Larry Nickel calls and it's been a few years, I'm like, I kind of know what this might be. But of course, it was this lifetime moment. So I've had several of those with Larry. I thank you so much for your work with me and kind of kickstarting this career that I really never saw coming. But it's been a wonderful thing. I treasure my time at Howard Payne in those special moments in that gymnasium and everyone that was part of that. So thank you so much.
Tyler, you have no idea how relieved I am that's the only story you stopped at. I didn't know what was coming next. So. It's my honor to give our closing remarks and our benediction, President of the University, Dr. Corey Hines.
Yeah, we would be remiss if we didn't congratulate Dr. Sims. He's been working on his doctorate, finished it this year. That is a huge accomplishment, running a Division III athletic program, also chair of the athletics conference of our athletic conference. He's the chair of the ADs group. He also walked through COVID while a PhD student as well. So would you join me in congratulating him? That's a huge accomplishment. Thank you. You know, there are so many things that I could say tonight. You know, whenever I was sitting here and as I was listening to each of you give your remarks, there was a couple of things that went through my mind. Number one, I was grateful that we have this event after kids are gone, so they're not hearing all of the stories that are told about people that we're honoring. So thank you for honoring, good timing on that, not having any current students listen to that. I also remembered, Coach Kimman, you may not remember this. Where is the coach? There you are. So he was back then, the assistant baseball coach also was the RD of Jennings Hall. And I lived in Jennings my first 2 years here at Howard University. And the maddest I have ever seen a man in my life to this day was Coach Kinnaman, because I had some people that lived in my area of the dorm that were putting entire rolls of toilet paper into the toilets and flushing the toilets and flooding the whole dorm. Well, Coach Kimmett, you probably don't remember this, but it's etched in my mind very, very strongly. Was not very pleased about that, as you might imagine, and tried one level of stopping that, and that didn't work. Tried another level of stopping that, and for something that would get you sued today and would get an email to the president's office at 2 in the morning, pulls the fire alarm, makes us strip down to our underwear, and makes us go outside between the Mabee Center and Jennings Hall and begins to tell us things about ourselves that we didn't know. And so I learned a lot about leadership that night, Coach. So I want to say thank you for, I had that flashback, much like you probably have therapy from getting hit in the back. I have therapy standing outside the dorm in my underwear, paying what I paid to live there, get yelled at by a man that I didn't even really know that well. So I remember. But Damon is right. You know, the 90s were some wonderful years in sports. You know, and I was fortunate to be a student here from 93 until 97. And it was some of the greatest memories as a college student, going to Jacket Gym and watching them dominate, and going out to Don Shepherd Park. And back then, there were some bleachers on the right side field, and me and my cronies, that's where we would sit out there and have a great time. And then just watching just so many wonderful stories. I just had a wonderful walk down memory lane listening to all of these stories, and man, those were good times. And, I do appreciate, Mike Blackwood, you believing in me and giving me the opportunity to serve as a student and coordinator. I learned a lot about conflict management. I learned a lot about problem solving, and a lot about just, hey, it's okay that you're out of the game, right? So I learned that. And you're right, Damon. I have never seen someone hit the ball as hard as Micah Allen. You know, I just remember watching you play, Micah, and I'm so glad you're here. But I remember watching her play, and I remember thinking, she is angry at that ball. She would yell and grunt, right, Dana, right? And you remember that? I mean, she was just an unbelievable athlete. And gosh, she was a great player. And she also helped me with some science classes as well, which I will be forever grateful for as well. So, yeah, we had the same science class, and Dr. Clarkson was our professor, and she was brilliant as well. And I was in sales. So I was like, hey, why don't you help me? I convinced her to help me, so thank you for it. You know, one of the things that I talk a lot about here at Howard Payne is we are committed to the student experience. You can get a degree anywhere, but what makes us special is the student experience here on the team. And a big part of the student experience is what happens within athletics. And so that's why I'm so grateful for the last 5 years that our team has been together. We have spent, just in athletics alone, we've spent almost $5 million in improvements that are just directed towards athletics. Just this last week, yes. Just this last week, our board gave us the green light. We've already raised the money for it. Thank you, Dr. Money. Good job, well done. We're going to spend $2 million to redo the bathrooms at Vita Hodge. For those of you who live in Vita Hodge, yes, they finally are getting that done. I am disappointed that last year was the first year Howard Payne had any lights on its field. We lit the soccer field last year because we got 2 sports. This year, we're lighting the baseball field. Congratulations. I'm excited about that. That's not cheap, as you can imagine, but it's something that should have been done about 15 years ago. And I'm just grateful that our team gets to do that now, and then hopefully we can do softball next year. So we just have it, as you can imagine, stepping into a level of leadership, and there's been a lot of neglect. There's a lot to do to catch up, and I'm just so grateful that our team can do that. The last thing I would say is we need your help. We really, really do. There are 3 specific ways that we ask people to help us. Number 1, we want you to pray for us. We are a Christian school. Make no bones about it. We provide education from a Christian perspective. We hire coaches, we hire faculty staff that align with having a Christian worldview. The stuff and the craziness that you see on college campuses, you're not going to see that here at our campus. If you do, we will show them to the door, let them go to hard service, right? So, that's right, yeah. But we do want you to pray for us. That's the most important thing you can do. And you know, when we look back over these last 5 years, we spent almost $20 million in campus improvements. We've raised 2 years ago we set a record in fundraising, 6.2. This year we've already raised $6.6 million. I mean, God's just been crazy. Our new student numbers continue to go up. Our returning student numbers continue to go up. We're at capacity in our apartments. I mean, just God has been so good to us. So please continue to pray for us. But also, too, we need you to promote us. There are many of you in this room are coaches. Many of you in this room, you've got stellar athletes that need to be a big fish in a small pond at Howard University. They can go, yes, to some larger schools. They can get a D2 scholarship. Maybe some of them they can go D1. But they're going to ride the bench. They're not going to get an education. And they're not going to become the people that they need to be that they get to school here. So I am being very serious. You're athletes. You want to help make some of these folks continue to go on, you need to send us your quality athletes. You all know we've got great coaches, and I love our coaches, but they can only do so much. We need your help sending us good quality athletes. That would be rock stars. I was even talking to a young man today at Swarm, and he's going to be a linebacker for our football team this year. And I was talking to his mother, and she said, I am so glad he chose to come to Howard Payne. She said, because he got other offers somewhere else, but we love Coach Bachtel. We trust Coach Bachtel. And I would rather him be a star on this field than be a backup somewhere else. So hear me say, coaches, people in your sphere of this, you need to promote us. You need to send us really good kids. Now, we can't give academic scholarships, as you know that. But we can give leadership scholarships. We can give presidential scholarships. We can give academic scholarships. So where there's a will, there's a way. So don't completely discount us. Send us your quality kids because it is very competitive. And the better you can be our advocates, the better off we'll be in the long run. So pray for us, number one. The second thing is to promote us, put us out there. And the last thing, and I would not be doing my job if I didn't say this, you need to also provide for us. All of you in this room who graduated from the institution, you got some sort of institutional scholarship. You may not have been a great student, but you got some sort of institutional scholarship. And it is our time now as graduates of the university to give back to the next generation so they can come to school here at Howard. Everybody can do something. All of you in this room, you dress nice, you look nice, you go on good vacations, you drink way too much Starbucks, you do all these wonderful things. We all have disposable income. But the question is, do you want to spend your money and invest it in something that makes a difference in the life of a student? Or do you want to spend your money in something that maybe is just a temporary experience? I don't know about you, but I want more kids to experience what I did. And the only way that happens, in many cases, is for us to be able to provide scholarships for you. So all of us in this room can do something. And we want you to pray for us, yes. We want you to promote us, send us really good athletes, really good kids. But then you need to get online. You need to sign up with Jackie's Century. You need to get back. God, thank you so much for this day, this opportunity we have to celebrate together some wonderful individuals and some wonderful teams. We thank you, Lord, that as we look back, we can have fond memories of times where we were able to be a part of something special. But tonight, not only do I pray that we have been able to come and to honor people that are worthy of honor, I pray that we will be motivated to get involved with making Howard Payne next day's perfect. I pray for traveling mercy for those who will be heading home tonight. I pray, Lord, that you would watch over us and you would bless us. Thank you again for this opportunity we get to be together, to celebrate, to look back, but also hopefully, Lord, to encourage as we go through. Abram's going to come and lead us in alma mater, and we're going to have a great night. Thank you for coming.
Please stand with me. Please welcome, turn around and face opposite of me towards your Old Navy. Above, oh bayous waters, out on centers high, stands our noble love of towering in her high. Keep her colors ever floating, sing her praises too. Again, thank you all for coming. Hey, please feel free to take some pictures of the media backdrop. We'll take these also pictures